depression, is always depressed,
Fatigue.
always sleepy, can't sleep at night. When you, that's why we have psych patients, right? Because psych and neuro are in tandem. Many patients coming from these departments when patients are already suffering from depression and irregular sleeping pattern, right? And they're maybe taking medications already. Maybe they're already on hypnotics or antidepressants, etc. So needless to say, these are the most important indications, right? In order for them to get a sleep study. Okay, so witness apnea, of course, is big. Witness apnea, snoring, excessive daytime sleepiness, brain fog, short memory loss. Okay, and then you have others that are like they might be suffering from atrial fibrillation, right? AFib is highly connected to sleep fragmentation, or they start to become insulin resistant, right? Or they start to develop type 2 diabetes. These are your patients. Obesity, right? Obese patients, they start to gain so much weight. They don't know why, right? They start to eat late at night, they binge, and they're never energized, right? They don't feel energetic, right? They lose a lot of motivation, a lot of short-term memory loss, and those are the signs. But the most common that we see on the consults when you are running your clinic and you look at the orders or what are the patients that are coming in trying to get scheduled for sleep studies. And typically these, the ones that we mentioned, are what we see, okay? So these patients coming in, usually they're asking to be seen, evaluated, and eventually end up with a sleep study. Now there's two pathways, right? You have home sleep testing, and then you have the overnight sleep study. What are your patients that require home sleep testing?
Sleep apnea.
Very good. So predominantly OSA, right? OSA. If the patient does not show, what's the keyword that we're looking for? Because you can either put them on home sleep testing or you move them to an overnight sleep study.
Low comorbidities, sir.
Very good. So comorbidity. Without comorbidity, just T. With comorbidity, PSG. Correct? So what are the comorbidities that we're looking for when it comes to sending them over for an overnight instead of home sleep testing?
CHF, diabetes, hypertension,
Neuromuscular disease,
neuromuscular.
atrial fibrillation. Okay, very good. So when you just see a consult, the indication for a study or to be seen in the clinic, if you don't see these comorbidities, these patients are more than likely required to do home sleep testing. And this is important because of insurance, right? And I will mention again insurance because insurance are the ones that really run the show, right? The insurance must agree that this patient really are for overnight sleep study or for home sleep testing. If the insurance companies are going to approve these sleep studies, you, the one providing the sleep services, whether HST or overnight sleep studies, must fulfill a certain list of criteria. One, it is important because of authorization. All right, home sleep testing usually do not require authorization for many insurance companies. Usually they will pre-authorize home sleep testing, meaning to say if the patients come in and they want to be seen by the sleep doctor, they can go to the clinic and be assessed by the sleep doctor or the NP or the PA. Then the sleep provider can just order home sleep testing. And the patient can get their device from the clinic or from they stop by in the sleep lab, or it can be mailed to them, right? It can be mailed to them, then they can use the device and return it. However, when the sleep clinic or lab charges for that service, usually they will not require authorizations. When they bill the insurance companies, it will get paid for the most part, okay? And not many insurance companies will reject or deny a claim for home sleep testing. But if you do that with overnight sleep studies, they will require authorization, right? They will ask for what? One major one is medical necessity, okay? The insurance company will say, why do you want this patient to do it overnight? Then you have to explain and provide them the documentations. One, aside from the Epworth sleepiness scale being at 24 or 20 or a stop bang at the max, right? They check off the box that they have apnea, and in addition to that, they also have heart failure, COPD, or neuromuscular disease, or etc., etc. So once the sleep clinic or sleep lab provides that those information to the insurance companies, then they will release an authorization. It usually comes in a number, or the authorization number for this patient. All right, and they will tell you there that this patient is authorized to do certain sleep studies, whether it's the codes that we talked about. So what are the sleep codes again? Anybody remember? Diagnostic code versus titration codes or split night. Anybody remember the code? So for diagnostic, the code is 95810. Okay? And then the split night or titration is 95811. So those codes, those are the two that you just remember, right? Some insurance companies will already give you the authorization to do both, right? But if they only approve you for one, it's better to get 95811 because it can already cover the diagnostic. So, for example, when the patient goes into the sleep lab, do you always end up splitting them when the order is split? Or there are instances where you don't, correct?